Welcome back, everybody. On your Do Now, I wanted you to explain to me who you think should be allowed to vote. In other words, what sort of requirements should there be? What should be the lowest age someone's allowed to vote? Is there a maximum age? Do people who commit crimes, should they be allowed to vote? Should citizenship matter? Should education levels matter? Should paying taxes or not matter? Should passing tests matter? High school diploma? What sort of things should someone have to be able to do before they're allowed to vote? This is your opinion, so lots of different ideas about what that could be. Today we're going to be talking about voting and sort of who should be allowed to vote and how we vote. If we are democratic, right, if we're supposed to have people are supposed to have power in our country and voice and have the right to express their opinions, how do we decide who votes and who can't? So as of right now, to be allowed to vote in a national election like president, you must be 18 years old at the time of the election. The election's it's usually like the first Tuesday in November. So if you're 18 by then, you are allowed to vote in the election based on your age. Most felons are not allowed to vote. If you have been convicted of a felony charge, most states and most crimes will not allow you to vote again in your life, even after you're done serving your time. If you want to vote, you have to register beforehand. In Colorado, it's like 3 weeks beforehand. You have to officially put your name on the list. And that's about it. If you fulfill those requirements, as well as citizenship, you are allowed to vote in the state of Colorado. Now, this isn't always the case. When America was first created, there was one vote per family. Right? Women weren't allowed to vote, and it was really just the fathers of families, and you had to own land. So if you didn't own land, you weren't allowed to vote. So very few people were actually allowed to vote initially. Eventually, they got rid of the land requirement. They always had an age range of like 21 to 25. That eventually went down to 21. As time went on, there were laws that made it so people of all races could vote. About 4 or 5 decades later, women got the right to vote. And the last major change was to lower the voting age to 18. All right, so historically, people have been restricted from voting, but as time has gone on, that has opened up to more and more people. What we're going to focus on today is how old should you have to be? What should the age be? It's currently 18. Should we lower that down to 16? Should 16-year-olds be allowed to vote? That's kind of our question for the day. So there's a lot of people who are arguing in favor of this. They argue that 16-year-olds are affected by these laws too. Whatever laws, whatever changes happen, they're going to be affected by them. All right, a lot of these 16-year-olds work, buy cars, they buy stuff, they're involved in the economy. If you are 16 at the time of the election, a presidential election, you'll be 18 during that term. All right, so you are affected by these laws. Also, sometimes 16-year-olds are treated as adults by the law. Right? If you commit a crime at 16, you can be tried as an adult. So how can you be tried as an adult but not considered an adult when it's time to vote? This also might get people more involved. If you vote at 16, if you vote at a young age, you're more likely to be more involved throughout your entire life. So if we can get 16-year-olds voting when their life is still very structured, they're likely to keep voting throughout their whole life. And this is a good thing to get more people involved. On the other hand, a lot of 16-year-olds are pretty immature. They don't always take things as seriously as they might as an adult. They have very low turnout. When we look at who votes in this country, young people do not. 18-year-olds don't really vote very often. It's not a very good trend that makes you think, oh, we need to get 16-year-olds the right to vote because 18-year-olds don't vote. Also, from a philosophical standpoint, parents are voting on their behalf, right? So I got young kids. I got 9, 6, and 2-year-old. When I vote, I'm voting for them, right? I'm voting as a father, and I will vote that way when my kids are 16, right? So they have someone representing them. And in a lot of situations, your parents are in charge, right? That they stand in for you as an adult who's responsible for you, and that includes when they vote. We're going to watch a video as a class, so you can pause this video and watch some of the arguments for and against 16-year-old voters. We're going to practice with some discussion cards today. Our question is, should 16-year-olds be allowed to vote? I'm going to hand out some different cards. You're going to talk to people around you. The yellow card is the present an idea. You get to answer the question. Red cards sort of help you bring up evidence and examples to support your idea. Green card is challenge. This is where you get to disagree with someone. Blue is when you want to ask a challenging question. Purple is if you want to add on. So we're going to discuss this. Should 16-year-olds be allowed to vote? And you'll get a chance to kind of talk with some people around you. Our assignment for today is you're going to read about 16-year-old voting, and you want to explain some of the arguments that are for and against.